I've been talking and nothing was recording. Yo, umuntu kufuneka aqalele phansi. Okay. Happy Friday, beloveds. I actually don't know when I'm going to upload this video, but I might upload it actually shortly before my trip to Germany. So let's see. Nevertheless, I wanted to spontaneously actually share do's and don'ts, all things, the visa, Schengen visa application process, very specifically the Schengen visa application process. I've just arrived at the embassy, and ordinarily if you're applying for the Schengen visa, you wouldn't come directly to the embassy. The only particular cases where you are required to come and do your application physically at the embassy is usually for your National D visa. National D visas are visas, simply put, that are longer than the 90 days. So a Schengen visa is up to 90 days. It's usually called a tourist visa. If you're there in and out for a work trip or on holiday and you're going to any of the countries in the Schengen zone, you would apply for a Schengen visa. And for that, you need to go to an external service provider. I think the name is TLS. I'll have to link the name somewhere here on the screen so that you guys are not getting the incorrect information. So that's an outsourced service. And I have to be here because I am going on a trip to Germany that is financed and supported by the German parliament, and they have designated colleagues within the embassy who handle these particular applications. So it would not make sense for me to go to TLS, the outsourced service provider, because it's a very specific special case. So even though I'm not going to be in Germany for longer than 90 days, it's literally a business trip in and out, I still need to come to the embassy. And usually, I wouldn't call it special treatment. It's a very specific type of visa. Usually this application for this type of visa, where it's financed by the German government, and there's a very particular reason why you have to be there, that is in connection to the German embassy. I mean, not embassy, parliament. Then the visas are processed quite quickly. That's not to say that the German embassy doesn't make a concerted effort to process visas within a reasonable time, because honestly, I've always experienced having my visa within under 2 weeks, sometimes even within days. So really, the efficiency, whatever they say about German efficiency, is true. So what I wanted to take you all through were, what are the requirements actually for a Schengen visa? Very straightforward. If you go onto the website, you just have to scroll all the way to the bottom. I'll take a screenshot so that you are following. Right at the bottom, there's a section, an option section that says, that clearly states visa. You click on that, it redirects you to a new page. On that new page, then there's some details about the type of visas, and you see very clearly stated Schengen visa, and then you also see, or tourist visa, and then you also see national visa, D visa. You have to click, in this case, on the Schengen visa option if you're traveling to Germany up to 90 days. Obviously, if it's the other way around, you click the other option. It then will redirect you to another page that details a bunch of information. There's even a navigation option for you to be able to navigate, okay, where do I even start when I'm applying for a visa? But the most important document is obviously your checklist, which is what I'm holding right here. And this details all the documents that you need. And I would really stress, you don't go to the embassy or you don't go to application if you don't have all of your documentation. The reason for that, the German embassy is very strict. If you're missing a document, you will have to reschedule. They will not process your application. There are instances where the document that is missing is something that can be sent to them or not high on the priority list. And in those cases, they might allow you to email them after the fact. But in most cases, they're very, very strict. You have to reschedule if you don't have all your documentation. So this is kind of like your Bible. It's very straightforward. While your reason for traveling to Germany up to 90 days may differ. So some people go for work trips, some people go for holidays. Most people usually apply for this visa for holidays. It varies here and there in terms of the requirements. But usually you need a filled out application form, which you find on the website that you have to fill out. It's very straightforward. They just need your name, reason for your trip, who are the contact people, details, etc. Then you need passport photos. Germany is quite particular about the type of passport photos that they'd like to have. If you're within the Pretoria area, I can 110% recommend the Postnet in Groenkloof, as well as the Postnet, there's a mall close by. I'll insert the name somewhere. So passport photos usually have more than two, just in case. They often like to have backup applications, so they need more than one passport photo. You need your actual physical passport, and you need a copy of the page with your information at the back, so where your name and passport number are, etc., etc. And then you also need documents that provide proof for the purpose of your trip. So why are you traveling? And that can be invitation letters, a cover letter from, if it's your employer that's sending you to Germany for a training, for example, that needs to be there with an itinerary. You also need under this proof of accommodation, as well as your flight details. If you're traveling to Germany for up to 90 days, so you're applying for a Schengen visa, which is what I'm taking you guys through now, you do need to have booked a round trip. So a trip there and a trip back. They need to have proof that you're not planning on staying. You have a booked flight that will guarantee that you come back to your country. That's very, very important, and it's a big distinction between a national D visa application. When you're applying for a national D visa, you ordinarily do not have to book a return flight, or book any flight for that matter. Often they require you to have booked your flights once they've confirmed that you have a visa. Obviously, because there's more at stake, it's more long term, and often if you're traveling to Germany to go study or to go work, you wouldn't ordinarily book a return trip. So that's a massive distinction between the two. Schengen, you absolutely need to have that. Again, if you don't have this, don't bother coming to your application, because they honestly will not process your application. Another thing that's important is proof of insurance. So you need to be covered when you are in Germany for the entire duration of your stay, and you need to prove an account for every single day. The nice thing is that there are a lot of available insurances that are actually quite affordable. International insurances that cover you for most countries, including Germany. But you have to check if you have a South African medical insurance, like the Discoveries, the Bonitas. Often they do provide a letter to prove that you are also covered for up to 30,000 euros when you are traveling, and you would need to then provide this particular letter with you as proof. In most instances, if it's a paid trip or it's a trip that's related to work, they will usually cover you. If that's not the case, you'd have to look for one. And like I said, they're actually quite affordable, much more affordable than one would think. But I think what is important, it needs to account for literally every single day that you're there, and it needs a minimum cover of up to 30,000 euros. I'll try and link recommended medical insurances that I personally have used. I know I've used AXA. There's another one that's not coming to my mind at the moment. So that's also important. Another really, really important one is proof of employment, or what your situation is. So if you're self-employed, you need to show registration documentation. If you are formally employed, you need to have a proof of employment letter that states that you've worked at a certain place, for how long, how much are they paying you. It needs to be stamped, it needs to be verified. That's very, very important. And then it says here, if you're a medical doctor, you need a valid license to practice in South Africa and a copy of the HPCSA card. So they're very, very, very specific, but this is important. And then a disclaimer, the proof of employment situation is only required if no other Schengen visas have been issued for you in the last 3 years. So if you've gotten a Schengen visa in the past year, then you would obviously not have to provide this. But I always bring extra documents. I'd rather have more and unnecessary things than not to have the things that I need. So I always bring extra. So I have one, even though I have been granted a Schengen visa in the past 3 years. And then another thing that's very important, which is often very difficult and some people find it quite unfair, is you need to provide some kind of proof of financial status and that you have sufficient funds. The long and short of it is that the German government wants to make sure that you are not going to be a liability when you're in the country. You are able to afford staying there. There are minimum amounts, and I'm not 100% sure what those are actually. Yes, so that's the long and short of it. They want to know that you are able to afford being in the country and you're not going to be a liability to them. You are in and out, you're coming for a specific purpose. They're not going to have to incur any cost on your behalf, and you an additional sort of head that is now their responsibility. So that's the logic of it. And for this, you need personal bank statements showing money, that money movements in the past couple of months, up to 3 months. You need to show that you have sufficient money in your account available at that current moment of the application, and it can't be an overdraft. So it has to really be either savings account, like you can clearly state this money exists and it's mine, or your own personal account with obviously proof for the past 90 days. So it's quite specific. Or the other option, you can have a formal letter that is written by somebody in Germany. So whether that's a business partner, whether that's a family member, whether that's a friend or your host, inviting you to the trip and also stating that they are financially responsible for you. So when I was in Germany and I had somebody come to Germany, even though I was not a German citizen, but just by virtue of me having had a resident status at the time, I was able to write this letter and also take on the responsibility financially for the said person that was traveling to Germany. So I often opt for this option because it's the much more straightforward route than having to now share my personal bank statements. But nevertheless, I usually do that as well, just as backup. And then that's about it. You submit your application, and turnaround times are up to 15 days. But like I mentioned, like in most cases, you usually get your visa within a shorter time span because they're really, really efficient and they're on the ball. And if there is something that they are concerned about, or they feel that you should have provided at the time of your application, they usually notify you right there and there. It's in and out. Let's see how mine goes today. I haven't had to apply for a visa in over 3 years. 2 years? 2 years? Can't remember. So I'm a bit nervous, and I've never been nervous about the application process. I'm not really sure why. I guess the last time I was in Germany, it was so life-altering. So the idea that I'm returning soon is it's quite daunting. I'll let you guys know how long it takes and how it goes and what the feedback is, and hopefully it's helpful for some of you. So guys, I couldn't apply for my visa because my passport is full and I didn't check. I don't have enough pages. It sounds like an amazing problem to have, but I'm so annoyed with myself because I'm flying in a month. Will I have a passport in a month's time? So this is another thing, guys. Please make sure you have enough passport pages. I'm so upset with myself. Yo.